on Immigration and You. I am your immigration attorney, Michael Fulwani, and once again, we have with us my law partner, David Nachman. David, welcome.
Thanks so much, Michael. Always a pleasure to be here
So before we start the program today, let us wish our viewers a very happy Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and all the holidays season this time to you and your family. Enjoy, have fun.
Absolutely. Wishing you all of our viewers, a very safe, happy, and healthy holiday season, and of course, all the best of prosperity in the coming new year.
Thank you. Let us start today's program with cutoff dates for the month of January 2015. So we are almost in the new year, David. The family preference categories, the first preference, which is for the unmarried sons and daughters over the age of 21 of U.S. citizens, advances by 2 weeks to July 8, 2007. The family 2A category, which is the spouses and children under the age of 21 of green card holders, advances by 3 weeks to April 15, 2013. The family 2B category, which are the unmarried children over the age of 21 of green card holders, advances by 5 weeks to April 1, 2008. The family third preference, which are the married sons and daughters of U.S. citizens, advances only by 1 week to December 22, 2003. And the family fourth preference, which are the brothers and sisters of U.S. citizens, advance by 4 weeks to March 22, 2002. The employment preference categories, the first preference, which is for the priority workers, is current for all the countries. The employment second preference, the advanced degree holders, is current for most of the countries, not India. It's not current. It is the date is June 1, 2013, and it has moved 28 weeks this month, which is fantastic. Bad news for India, it moves very, very slowly. It has only moved 2 weeks to December 15, 2003. Same thing is about the other workers category, the employment fourth preference, the religious workers, which includes the priests and special workers, is current for all the countries. And the employment fifth preference, which are the investors of $1 million or $500,000 in the regional centers, is also current for all the countries. Any comments?
Sure, Michael. Actually, in light of President Obama's recent announcement regarding administrative relief, I think it's important for us to point out that one of the administrative relief methodologies that the President points to in one of the 18 memoranda that came out on November 20th to 21st has to do with modernizing the visa system. And this is something that you and I have been talking about on ITV for a long time. And what is the modernization really going to be focused on? Well, there are two things. One, which is, I think, the most important prong, has to do with the usage of all the visas, because apparently, because of delays in the system, not all the visas that have been in that pool on a fiscal year basis are being used. And so the President says, well, use them. Use all those visas. And then, of course, there may be a possibility, if all those visas are being used, that it will advance the priority date such that we won't see these types of backlogs. The other methodology that they're focused on is that, and some of our viewers may know this, you do know this already, Michael, is that when people take out of the allocated pool on a fiscal year basis, the whole family takes from that pool. It's not just the primary beneficiary, but the whole family takes from that pool. And that really maybe is not the way we should be looking at things. Maybe it should just be the primary beneficiary who takes from that pool. And if the primary beneficiary takes from that pool, then that would leave, of course, many more visas in there for additional primary beneficiaries, which hopefully then will advance the priority dates also. So that, of course, coupled with other things that we've always told you about, like cross cross-chargeability. If you're from India and you're married to a foreign national not from India, you might be able to take advantage of cross-chargeability. And other things like if you are, of course, an EB2 case, and you might be able to possibly move yourself into an EB1 classification to advance your priority dates. So I think that those are some of the things that our viewers should have in their mind.
This usage that you mentioned, it reminds me of August 2007, when our friend Mr. Oppenheimer in the Department of State is sitting here getting frustrated that the American consuls and the Immigration Service are not utilizing all the numbers. And what does he do? Declares all categories current.
Exactly.
That was a period many of our people filed the 485s. They still have the EAD. They still can travel, but they still have to wait long time for the green card.
Exactly.
So the wastage, that's a wastage. So if they do not use all, they cannot carry forward to the next year. So that's the frustration that they have. I think that's a good point.
Yeah, use it or lose it,
exactly. On that. Also, it's not very clear that that's what they are saying, that they will no longer count all the people. It's something that we as analyze that is one way that they may do it. As
Possible way, yeah.
And if they do that, huge difference. I mean, if they do that, they count only one person, the main beneficiary, not the husband, wife, child, the children. No, they don't count that.
That's right.
That will make all these categories almost current, or the waiting periods will be, let us say, 1/3 of what they are today, at least.
Right. Well, and it's not clear what the ultimate effect might be, except that, again, this is what we think the effect might be.
I know, and we'll talk in a different program about, Republicans are going to really oppose tooth and nail on that as well, and many of the other items.
That's right. Well, Michael, we have a big surprise for our viewers this week, and that is that we've prepared a presentation for you because we've received many, many inquiries about these new administrative relief programs. And what we've done is to make things easier for you all to understand is that we've sort of put into place a presentation which we'd like to show you about first the new program. It's called DAPA, the Deferred Action for Parental Accountability. And then what we're going to do is in our next program, we'll come back and discuss DACA. And in the program after that, we're going to talk a little bit about, we'll also discuss provisional waivers. And then we'll talk about some of the business immigration fixes. So our goal is to show you a presentation, some slides. We're going to go through them with you. This is, of course, the presentation. And if you go to the next slide tells you a little bit about what exactly happened. And Michael, maybe you want to just tell our viewers about this slide. And, of course, this introduces the new administrative relief programs that the President announced on November 20th and November 21st, respectively.
See, what happened is after they announced DACA, which was basically for the children under the age of 16, that came before 2007, and we'll talk in more details in the next program, there was concern raised by a lot of people. What happens to the parents? So if the parents are illegal and they get a permission to stay and work, they can arrest, and did arrest many times, the parents, and deported them. The poor little children are left behind. So there was a quick question raised as to what happens to these parents. Unfortunately, we were hoping that even the parents of DACA probably will get some benefit, some similar kind of treatment. Unfortunately, it did not happen that way. Still, DAPA will help a lot of people, but not just the parents of DACA applicants. So what is DAPA that you mentioned? It is also people who are illegally in the U.S.
Right. But most importantly, Michael, I think what I'm gearing toward is on that first slide of our presentation is what is the program about? The program has to do with administrative relief. It has to do with the fact that it's not an executive order. Exactly. It's not a law. What it is it's an expansion of deferred action, which means that all you get is you get work authorization. But that's not a bad thing.
Yes.
So who gets the work authorization? It's the parents of individuals who are U.S. citizens and lawful permanent residents. And that's what DAPA is all about. So we're going to go to the second slide and see what some of the requirements are for DAPA. So this is what we call DAPA. It's Deferred Action for Parental Accountability. And Michael, if you can just run through some of the requirements for DAPA so that our viewers understand exactly what those requirements are.
Okay, once supposing a person is legally in the United States, in a legal status, that doesn't apply. It is important that the person must be in unlawful status, must have come before January of 2010 and continuing to stay here until the date of the memorandum, which is November 20th, 2014, continuously present in the United States, and has U.S. citizen or green card holder children.
Exactly.
Again, they were born before this date of
November 20th, right, exactly.
So we were talking about, remember, so the person actually asked me a question that I don't have a child, both husband and wife sitting in my room, office. And so maybe we can have a child quickly within a year's time.
Exactly.
Then okay. I said that's not okay because it clearly says the child must have been born. And
before
probably,
November 20th.
My recollection is that child should also be residing in the United States because if let's say
that hasn't been addressed actually. As far as that's a question that's coming up right now.
Because some people are saying yes. I have a child who got a green card who is there in India or other country, and does it matter or does he have to be here in order for me to qualify? Same thing I said, I hope so, but difficult to say until they come out with the clear regulations on that.
Exactly, and I believe that our following slide addresses some of those issues. And so the next question that we get frequently is, does it include stepchildren? And it seems to be that stepchildren may be included if they meet certain guidelines and certain parameters set forth in the first point.
I would say yes. I would say yes because the definition of son or a daughter, basically, this doesn't say child. Child means it has to be under the age of 21. But this program includes the sons and daughters who may even be over the age of 21 years. So that's a good thing. Also,
exactly. What about adopted children?
Well, because the definition of children is that which includes adopted children and stepchildren also.
Right.
So that definition is not changed. That's the law, existing law. So when they refer to the child, son or daughter born of a U.S. citizen, it does include also the stepchildren as well as adopted.
That's right.
Definition.
And what you're saying, which I think is a really great point for all of our viewers to understand, is that the underlying tenets of this new policy has to do with family unity. So obviously we don't see, and I speak for you, Michael, also, and I think you would agree with me, we don't see that the definitions of the family are going to change, because to do so would really not be serving family unity at all.
What we are saying, the existing Immigration and Nationality Act, which defines everything. When they come out with these executive orders, they are referring just to a child or parent or something. It doesn't change anything unless they specifically, for some reason, go back. But they may still not be able to change that. That's a law. Only President Obama can have executive action which does not change any law, does not affect that part of it.
Right.
Because that's a big concern, We'll talk about the future. And that.
Yeah, so, we'll come back to that. What is the next slide there about DAPA, if we can just run to it? And that is that it seems that the parents are going to have to learn English. We're not exactly sure how that's going to be implemented, but it's our guess that maybe you want to buy some stock in the companies that are teaching English, because they're going to get a big uptick in their student body. Parents are going to have to pay taxes on a going forward basis. So make sure you give nice holiday gifts to your accountants, because your accountants are going to be extremely busy, because they're going to have to take care of the taxes on a going forward basis. And also, the parents must not be an enforcement priority. We discussed enforcement priorities in our prior shows, but basically what it means is that it can't be a national security risk. And then the issue, of course, is do you have a criminal background? And of course, if there's any type of interface that you've had with a law enforcement agency, we definitely recommend that you seek out the advice of a good qualified immigration lawyer who'd be able to assist you in dealing with whether or not your background is going to be affected. On the next slide, we talk also about...
on the English language, I don't think it's going to be like a read, write, and speak English very fluently. I think they'll be very easy on that, and probably something similar to the requirement of English language when people apply for citizenship, or even a lower level to that?
Well, I've heard a spectrum of, I've heard a variety of ideas. One person suggested that you'll have to show up with a TOEFL exam having been taken. So that's one thing that might be possible. Another might be, as Michael points out properly, that citizenship, it's a very easy type of writing and checking to make sure that the person understands English. So we're not sure yet. As soon as the FAQs are issued, we, of course, will do our best to present that information to our loyal viewers.
Right.
Yeah. So on the next slide, of course, just to let everyone know, the timing is that we're going to be looking at May 20th as the date when the application begins. Michael, I know we're running out of time. We have some great information in the next program that we'd like to bring. We'll talk a little bit about DACA and provisional waivers.
So we should also, next program, we're going to talk about the documentation requirements so that people are ready with the paperwork under both DAPA as well as DACA.
Exactly. So I think we're running out of time, but if you could let our viewers know that we'll be back.
Sure, we'll be back next year. And thank you very much for coming, David, and thank all of you for watching the program. And goodbye.